Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. The focus today seems to be more on the altcoins in general, as Bitcoin hasn't really moved a lot. The altcoins are certainly moving, especially Cardano in the top 10. Another winner of the day is certainly Loopring, and here Ethereum Classic as well. Wow, I mean, it's they start to move up. But as I said, it's still very early days, and just because we see here some upside doesn't mean that the low across the market was already in. If it was already in for many altcoins that I covered, in fact for most altcoins that I cover on this channel, the target areas were reached anyway to the downside. So I'm happy with all of them to move up, but I'm still very skeptical overall because Bitcoin has not finished its correction. Now, I did explain various times how that works together. We can certainly expect Bitcoin, for example, now to make a temporary move up, while the altcoins make a significant, maybe first wave up as well. Then when Bitcoin completes its correction to the downside, we could see these altcoins come down in a wave 2, basically make a higher low, while Bitcoin makes a lower low. And that also would make sense from a point of view that we say that typically the altcoins are more volatile, so in any uptrend they could now outperform Bitcoin and then not fall as much in a downtrend. That is certainly a possibility, and that would be what I would prefer, but only if Bitcoin moves above 45.5k in my alternative scenario. I did warn about that alternative scenario now various times, and that would be live if we break above this 45.5k level here. We talked about that. When you break above this triangle, then the alternative scenario will get much more likely. My primary scenario would still be that we're turning around here and that Bitcoin is going to sell off into the region between 29k. That is just what is typically required and what is the most likely scenario, and that is only what I can tell you because we can only look at probabilities in this space. Yeah, that would be a so-called expanded flat where Bitcoin makes a lower low compared to the low back in June. Okay, what is Bitcoin doing now? Bitcoin back in a, you can call it short-term uptrend. We had originally here a trend line on the chart, which was unfortunately broken here to the downside. However, you can draw a different trend line, and as always, if you're above these trend lines, you can argue that the price is in an uptrend, of course, and as long as that is the case, the upside potential is higher than the downside potential, at least short-term and temporarily. It is currently doing here, it's pretty much what is indicated on this chart with this ABCDE wave, where that wave E is going up all the way to 45.5k. That is still what I'd be looking at here as one of the options for a sell-off, because you would, in a sell-off, expect before that sell-off, you would expect Bitcoin in this scenario here to move all the way up to the top of that triangle to the 45 or even 45.5k level. It can go all the way up to that wave C level, which is 45.5k, before it then gets rejected, and that would be that wave E. In this sort of wave count, you would exit the triangle to the opposite side of the triangle of the wave E, and that would be to the downside. So from that point of view, there is still further room for further upside, but generally structurally what is coming up here, and I have to repeat it, it doesn't look very bullish, it doesn't look very impulsive, it looks very corrective, because you come up here, and then you have your overlaps, so basically with this dip here you come into the previous wave's price range, and also with this dip you come into the previous wave's price range, and that does not look, and it is typically not very bullish, it is not impulsive. And what you're looking at here from a pattern point of view currently, you might be able to class that as an ascending broadening wedge, which is a bearish pattern. It's a bearish reversal pattern where you see increased volatility, and you would typically expect the price then to exit also here to the downside. Now that is in the very micro a possible pattern that is developing here. We see also here this yellow triangle that we put on the chart where the price did break out of it. We talked about that, and it actually found support at this trend line, but has not yet been able to move again out of this green target box, or this green zone, where it needs to move above 42.6k. as long as it doesn't really do that on a sustainable basis, and then even past that previous rejection point at 43.3k, I would it's not able to move higher. So next resistance here, 43.3, 43.4k, and then it can move all the way up to 44.5k first, and then 45.5k, and above 45.5k, that is the level where I'm looking at the alternative scenario with a much higher likelihood. And for everybody who's new, just to show you that alternative scenario, where would the price land? The price would then, in my opinion, go to 55k, all the way up to 65k. In that region where you've got the 55k level is one fib level, the 61k level is another fib level, and the 65k level another fib level. I will open a long position when we break that level and retest it and then move higher. Then I will open a long position, but only if I see a volume confirmation, and I will take profit in that green area. That is my plan for that alternative scenario. For the primary scenario down here, we are going to come down and I will accumulate more in this yellow target area. And however, even if we move into this alternative price range, then I will expect the price to come down in the end, because we need to finish off the correction here in a expanded flat. Yeah, that's quickly here my update about Bitcoin. Not too much happening on the Bitcoin chart. It's more the altcoins, and you typically see the altcoins moving quite strongly when Bitcoin is performing okay, and it currently is performing okay. It's moving up slightly, but that just shows you what will be possible when Bitcoin finally does a significant move to the upside and then starts to move sideways, how the altcoins, how massively the altcoins will perform. And then you will understand, and you probably do understand already, but many people are new in the space, then you will see why patience was so important and why it was so important to accumulate here in the lower price ranges, what we've been doing here now for weeks and months. Just accumulate dollar cost average in these lower price ranges across the crypto market, because the price expectations for the next major wave up, they were at times 10x or more, and they might still be, depending on which crypto we're talking about, just because we have moved up in the last few days a little bit. So yeah, it's still a it's a very attractive market at the moment. But we also need to understand we are in a very volatile market, so the downside potential is still very, very, very apparent. And here for Bitcoin anyway, primarily, I do expect a breakout to the downside out of that triangle. So that's my update about Bitcoin. Hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.